Hello, Omar. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How about you?
Good, thank you. Yes, today's topic is that in our earlier exercise we created a container image
Yep.
and we pushed that image to our Azure Container Registry. This
Yep.
is this is where we pushed our if you remember that in the repositories. This is where we pushed it,
Okay.
Azure Container Registry. Now that was all manual process, so we like added a Docker file in it and we pushed it all manually and everything. So now what we're going to be doing it, we will be automating this process using a release pipeline.
All right.
So what we'll do, so we'll create a release pipeline from an image which is I just showed you in container registry and deploy it to Azure container instance. So
Okay.
Azure. Yeah, we're going to go to Azure Container Instance, and we'll call this release, say, Container Instance, deploy to Container Instance. And I will show you that if you remember that normally when we were doing our .NET project, we used to create a build and create an artifact and deploy it as an application. But in this case, we do not have an build artifact. So we have just an image which is in Azure registry.
Okay.
So we do not have artifacts. So we have to approach this a different way. Particular spelling is wrong. Particular. And so we do not have artifacts. So we will be doing like a manual release of this particular pipeline. So we'll call it as a manual release, and then we will, after we add an agent, we'll search for a task for a container, but
Okay.
we will not be able to find a container task. I'll show you in that. So to do this manually, we will add this CLI command, and then we create a release. So if I show you, so we have got image already there, and we will be creating a container instance and deploy that image from the container registry.
All right.
Yeah. So if I go back to my release pipeline, if I go to release and I create a new release, and we start from empty job, and we call it deploy to container instance. So we call it deploy to container instance and save it, and we call this release pipeline, we call it what do you call it, release, container release.
All right.
And we just call it just click this OK, and we call that container release. Yeah, that's what I was showing to you. We do not have an artifact at the moment, so that's why we have to create this release manually,
Okay.
because we're creating a resource as a container instance and using the image which we have in our local registry, like such as this image. So if I go back to add task agent, and we can call it let's leave it like this. And if we search for a task, say container,
Okay.
container, container, container. Yeah, so we can see Azure Container Apps, container structure, but we cannot find anywhere to deploy a container instance. So for that reason, we need to use a different method of releasing. So we'll use like such as we can use PowerShell or Azure CLI. So in our case, we'll use Azure CLI. So if we search for Azure CLI, so we choose this and add it. And just so we call it display name as it is. So we select our subscription. Choose this one. Script type, we can say bash.
Okay.
Batch file. And script path, we'll use inline script.
Yeah.
And this is we're gonna put our Azure CLI command. So I've copied over here, as you can see. So only you need to do is so AZ container create group. This is a group, so we call it we'll see what's our group name, and we call it say just call it 2024.
Right.
And with CPU 1, memory 1, port 80. Remember when we were
Okay.
creating manually, so we have to expose it to public so we can access this application. And the image, this is the image we are pulling from registry. So our registry is this one. So we copy that. And change this image to this registry name. And so this is our SQL image, if you remember that, SQL Docker.
Okay.
If you remember that instance.
It's on the.
Yep, so this SQL Docker file.
Yeah. There is the username.
Is it supposed to be SQL Docker file? I think, yeah. File latest. We tagged it as latest. Registry name, username is the same one as a registry name.
Okay.
And
No, you got it wrong.
oh, sorry, 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah, you have to delete the
sorry,
registry.
my apologies. Yeah, change, overlap this one. And password, you know that we can get it from if you go to access keys.
Yeah.
And we can copy from here. Oops, generate again. So copy here, and if we go back to here and replace this. Right, so if we just copy all that, and if you go to a pipeline and just copy here, get this all done. We just leave it as it is, save it, and run. Create release.
Okay.
Create release and create.
All right.
And we can see here. So let's see, it is going there, and we can see the logs. It is waiting for it. So while this is running, to reiterate that we are deploying an image from a container registry and creating an instance of of Azure container instance, and deploying that image on this container instance, and we'll check it is it working or not. So you can see it is doing the job. Let's see, come back when it's completed. Okay, we just came back. We can see that our pipeline is successful. So if we go to our container instance, and refresh refresh it. Here we go.
All right.
So
App
we
instance
so
2024.
remember we called it app instance.
Yeah.
We called it app instance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So successful. If you go back, go to this container, sorry, instance, and we go to containers. No, where is that? Sorry. Oh, my apologies. So if you go to overview and just click this public IP, this is where we exposed it, remember?
Yeah.
And if we go to and just right click, paste, enter. There we go.
Let's go.
So that's all working fine. So can you just tell me in a minute, 60 seconds, what you have just done?
Okay, so we have taken the image that we had saved in the registry,
Yep.
and we used it to with a release pipeline uh, to containerize it.
No, 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 no. We already containerized it from past, from Linux VM, and we containerize the application, the .NET project, SQL app one. So what we are doing, like you exactly said, so we're using that image that already containerized. Remember, containerized, we create a custom image, and
Yeah.
then we can run that custom image as a container with a command. So what we are doing now here, we push this image, and using Azure CLI and release pipeline, we created an instance of Azure Container instance and use this image to deploy a container on this instance, and we checked it via clicking the public IP, and we can see that it's already there.
All right.
I hope this is informative to you, and what we'll do, we'll come back on our next lesson. Please subscribe my channel. For any comments or any question, please let me know, and I will add so I can help you to complete this exercise. Thank you very much, Umar.
Thank you.